2 weeks, Tony.
Inappropriate foods. I don't know. Bang, bang shrimp.
Beards.
Beards. What kind of food is beards? Seriously.
You trying to get me fired?
No, not at all.
Feels like it.
No. You don't have to worry about that.
I'm trying not to. I don't want to even be brought in for review.
Okay. Lions Review every Monday with Dan Miller, Wojo, and the Birchie Kid. All right. Coming up next, speaking of the Lions, Aaron Glenn back for at least another year. What will it take for him to be back for a fifth year? 97 won the ticket.
It was the AFC versus NFC during the Pro Bowl Skills Challenges last night in Orlando. The NFC way ahead after the first 5 games, 12-6, and kind of arbitrary, but still kind of fun, with several Lions helping out, such as Amon-Ra and Gibbs in dodgeball. St. Brown also spoke to ESPN and was asked about both of the team's coordinators not taking or getting jobs elsewhere after such a big season for the team. Also, Baker Mayfield joked during an interview about not practicing much lately, saying that the last pass he threw before the events was a pass to a Detroit linebacker, Derek Barnes. Another OC interview for Detroit's passing game coordinator, Tanner Engstrom. Seattle also wants to be interested in his services. He already spoke with the Patriots, and Tampa Bay was interested as well, but they just filled their OC spot this morning. Sharon Moore says that he's going to coach Michigan his way after taking the baton from Jim Harbaugh. During an interview on ESPN, Moore claims that he wants to be the leader of his players that they rely on and trust. He also says they have a replacement list for Jesse Minter at D coordinator in hand, and will have that settled soon. The Pistons will be without Isaiah Stewart for a while now, 10 to 14 days, according to Adrian Wojnarowski, as he deals with an ankle sprain.
Boy, that should really hurt their playoff
I know. What are they going to
chances?
do without him? That may take him into the All-Star break, and the Pistons also have Mike Muscala in the concussion protocol, also big Stoney, after a collision cut his night short after just 4 minutes on Wednesday. No timetable for the veteran. From the Corewell Health Sports Desk, I'm Chris Villar. For more, go to 97.1 The Ticket and Odyssey.com.
Thank you very much, Chris. 248-539-9797. We do have one more gift certificate from the great Viviano Flower Shop to give away. It's good for $50, just in time for Valentine's Day, which, of course, is February 14th. For all life's celebrations, go to Viviano.com or call 800-VIVIANO. Please be the 14th caller when you hear me say, I'm a sanctity person.
Okay.
And you will win that Viviano gift certificate. Well, with Dan Quinn becoming the head coach of the Washington Commanders, that means that Aaron Glenn does not get a head coaching job again. And it means that unless something strange happens, he's back for year number 4 as the Lions defensive coordinator. And probably this season, maybe with the exception of Cam Sutton and Jerry Jacobs at times, Aaron Glenn was probably the most polarizing person on the Detroit Lions roster, so to speak.
Yeah. He took the most heat.
Correct. A lot of people think he did a really good job basically making an amazing batch of chicken salad because the roster, especially in the secondary, was awful. And they were top 3, I believe, run defense.
Yes.
But they were like 25th or 27th in pass defense, if I'm not mistaken.
19th in total defense, 23rd in points allowed.
Okay. So, 248-539-9797. What would the Lions have to do in your mind for Aaron Glenn to earn year number 5?
Well, they've got to show. So first thing has to happen is he's going to have to get some more players. And I don't mean just, fill the roster. You've got to get more dogs on the defense. It's another edge rusher, and it's a cover corner, a number 1 corner. Whether it's through the draft, which I know could take a little time to develop and get their feet wet and get playing at a high level, but it can be done. And they just need more support, more players to be able to do things with. Because at the end of the year, we saw a shift from trying to get, whether it was Aiden Hutchinson, Aleem McNeil, the cast of characters up front to put pressure on the quarterback, along with the linebackers here from here or there, to a much more aggressive style, bringing pressure from corners, safeties, nickels. And they were, in the last 6-7 games, they did a much better job of pressuring opposing quarterbacks, but it put a strain on the secondary. Mm-hmm. So it's a risk-reward that we've talked about. If he gets another playmaker in the secondary, 2 playmakers, let's say a safety and a corner, and then you go and you get an edge rusher, I would expect that they would maintain, especially with the hiring of Terrell Williams as defensive line coach and a run game coordinator on defense, the top 5 status in stopping the run. But I would expect them to be a top 10 team in total defense. And they were, 19th in total defense.
Mm-hmm. Top 10?
Yeah.
Okay.
And if they're 12, am I going to say he's fireable?
Right.
No. But that's my expectations going. I'm not going to sit there and say, well, I want him to be a 15. No, I want him to be a top 10 defense. And I think that's possible.
I would want that too. I think we all would want that. To me, if they have a similar record and the defense does improve, let's say to the top 15, I'm okay with that. As long as, and don't forget, look, statistics are deceiving. A lot of times you give up points in garbage time. Offensively, sometimes you score points in garbage time. You're playing prevent, yards accumulate.
It all comes out in the wash.
Right. But, even eye test, you can tell if the defense is good. And the Lions' run defense was good statistically, and it was pretty good eye test-wise. Secondary was bad in both, right?
Yes.
248-539-9797. For Lion fans, what would it take for you to, say, you know what? Aaron Glenn's done a good job. He should be here for year 5. He's going to be here for year 4 unless something happens.
Yeah. What were your expectations? And I think the other thing we should ask, too, is, and I do believe that most people want or I think Aaron Glenn should be back because he is going to be back, but were you hoping that he would get the head job so that you could, without having to fire someone, without having to, quote unquote, move on from someone, that you could get somebody else as DC? I
know there are tons of people.
There are tons of people
who feel that way. Absolutely. I mean, there's one sitting 8 inches from me.
Right. Yes, but that's close.
20 inches, whatever. Whatever. It's Gov. He's sitting next to me. All right.
Yes, it's not even arm's length away.
Yes. Okay.
4 feet, 5 feet.
Whatever.
Yeah.
I mean,
probably 5.
Yeah.
Well, let's just so we can please HR. 6 feet.
60 inches.
Yeah.
72 inches.
Yeah. 6 feet apart. Anyway. And I know Gov has been very vocal that he was hoping he would get a head coaching job so that you can move on and hire somebody else defensively. I think he's done a good job with the cast of characters he's had to deal with. He has shown that he is stubborn at first, which I'm okay with. You want a guy that buys in and understands his philosophy and is willing to stick to it, but then eventually you're going to have to make some changes if it's not working, and he did.
Well, they did that when they fired Aubrey Pleasant. Now, whether he just went along with it or it was his idea, I have no idea. That was just a Dan Campbell,
Yeah, but basically in the end they went to, okay, we're going to be a bend, don't break defense, and we're going to try to stop you in the red zone. Honestly, that's what and to me, that's not a way you have a great defense.
No.
That's picking the path of least resistance.
True, but
the evidence in the 3 years, look, I don't have a problem with him being back. The thing is, I wouldn't have minded if he got a head coaching job because I'd be very intrigued by the options that they could get at DC. I don't know what it's in the DNA of Aaron Glenn in terms of having a defense. I really don't. Look, the run defense got way better this year. You got to give him credit for it. I just think I'm just questioning, okay?
Yeah, I know.
I think when a guy has defenses in his first 3 years at DC that are all in bottom 10 points allowed in the league, which is the most important defensive stat. It is a game about points. Who scores the most? How many you give up? All that you have to hold him accountable. And we have a coaching staff over the first 3 years where an OC was kicked to the curb right away, and that was the right move. And positional coaches have been. But it seems like he gets more rope, and his bottom line result is not very good, the one that matters the most. I think there needs to be significant improvement. Like, he has got to get into the upper half of points allowed this year. They gave up 100 more points on average more than the other 3 conference finalists. That's huge.
It is huge.
That cost them home field advantage.
Well,
okay? and guess what? They gave
especially giving up those yardage to Nick Mullins and those guys. I mean,
and they had 2
but there's still wins. I understand you're giving up points, but it's all about the win.
Yeah, but it's also jaded a little bit, and you play the game, and you play by the final score, right? And all that. 2 of those games, they allowed 6 points against the Falcons, which their offense was horrendous, okay? Yeah. And Tampa hadn't quite found its offense yet, and there was a big drop in that game, by the way.
Yeah.
So they give up over 23 points a game this year.
To answer, though, your worry or your concern that they went to the bend but don't break, which is very frustrating, and I remember when Wayne Fonts' defenses used to have that. In this case, though, because of the loft on this team, lack of freaking talent, especially in the back end, I don't think he really had a choice except to do what they did, bend but not break, and occasionally, have to run some blitzes and things like that just to be different. Because if they went with a standard or whatever his defensive philosophy is, they would have been torched even more all season, don't you think?
Yeah. And here's the other thing in terms of what I expect from this defense, because you're going to be facing a number of quarterbacks that are mobile. Obviously, if Justin Fields is still in Chicago, even if he's not, if say it's Caleb Williams, he's a mobile quarterback. Jordan Love is a mobile quarterback. You're going to be facing Dak Prescott. You've got other guys that you're going to be facing that are mobile quarterbacks. He needs to find answers. Some of it's personnel. Other is how do you keep a mobile quarterback from beating you and extending all of those first downs?
You want another stat?
Sure.
I'm resting my case on points allowed. In the playoffs, they gave up 26.6 points a game.
That's not great.
That was higher than the regular season.
And 2 wins. And they
23 in 2 games, which was this team average over the year.
Right. And then in the game against San Francisco, it was a turnover on the 20-yard line. There were a number of different things that allowed them short fields, opportunity.
Dropped interception.
Yeah. I mean,
look, but I'm sure that goes both ways too. So,
but is it on the defense to give up? Okay, maybe you could stop and give them 3 if they get the ball on the 20-yard line versus a touchdown. Right. But how much is that? How much are you going to blame the defense for giving up a score in that situation?
No, I know. I tend to agree. But I mean, like, then you go the other way with offensive numbers. Sometimes they actually had good field position too. So I'm saying team-wise, that stuff kind of goes.
What's it come down to? The win.
Yeah.
You use the loft argument, though. Why isn't half of it on him? I feel like there's some pass being given here. I just do, because the bottom line number is not good, and it's not going to win you a Super Bowl. Go find me a team that won the Super Bowl that gives up plus 23 points a game.
I know.
That you just don't find them. So There's a lot of work, and I agree talent is a problem, okay? And how about youth? The youth of the talent.
Yes.
I think the talent might be there, and so that's where I have I think he could potentially be a better head coach than a DC. I just think that's the kind of coach he is. When you start hearing about him and the leadership aspects and stuff, I don't know. I desire to try to have a Raven-like defense here, and I see absolutely none of that.
Well, I don't think they have, especially on the back end, those type of players like a Kyle Hamilton.
Yeah, I mean, no, they don't have that type of guy. But
they could have.
They could have, yes, but they don't. And so you're looking at it going.
Was he taken after Jameson Williams, by the way? or before?
Kyle Hamilton, yeah, he was. Yes, he was. I want to say he was like 15 or 16.
You take Hamilton, though, then are you taking Branch? And I think look, Hamilton has another year under his belt.
Right.
I think you could make an argument right now on who's the better player is right there. Probably Hamilton because he had such a good third season here or whatever.
Yeah, he's one of the best in the league.
Yes.
Again, please hear what I'm saying overall.
Right. You're not saying he's a bad coach.
I think there has to be a real evaluation. And he's going to stay, and he's going to be the guy. But to me, this is the biggest thing facing them. And I have concerns, and maybe it's not fair because I don't have any evidence. But you know what? They are friends. And I just am picking up. I think I have a little evidence on this team. Okay, well, his friend DC is getting more chances, and the results aren't there. And also the organization's amount of rope that they're giving to some of their draft picks. And these are things I'm looking at this offseason.
Yeah, but we played the audio from Dan's press conference on Monday. And it was, I'm not going to ask Greg to pull it up right now, but it was basically the production has to be there. It's players and coaches. You can't fall in love with
your guys.
You can't fall in love with the guys because eventually production will taper off.
Right. We'll find out next year, like Uzureke, people like that who hadn't panned out.
Yeah.
They have to be gone.
If there's no production, there's no reason for them to be there still.
Exactly. All right, 248-539-9797.
Last year at the Super Bowl, Rob Gronkowski went wide left on FanDuel's Kick of Destiny. Now he's back for Kick of Destiny 2. And this time, you can play along. All you have to do is choose if Gronk is going to make or miss. Get your free pick in right now because if you're right, you're going to win a share of $10 million in bonus bets. Everyone can get in on the action when Gronk takes his shot at redemption before Super Bowl 58, whether your team make or team miss. Just head to the FanDuel Sportsbook app to get your pick in, and it's absolutely free. Then all you got to do is tune in to see if Gronk makes it or misses it. You'll win a share of $10 million in bonus bets if you're right. New to FanDuel. Visit FanDuel.com/Jansen to sign up and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL and 97.1 The Ticket. Must be 21 or over in present Michigan. No purchase necessary. $10 million prize pool to be split equally among all eligible participants who made the correct pick. Prize issued as now in trouble. Bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problems? Call 1-800-270-7117 for confidential help. FanDuel Super Bowl, Jansen. Football fans, FanDuel has the perfect way for everyone to get on the Super Bowl 50. Hold on, take two. Sorry. Football fans, FanDuel has the perfect way for everyone to get in on the Super Bowl 58 action with a no-sweat same-game parlay. But when you bet on FanDuel 50, damn it. Take three. Football fans, FanDuel has the perfect way for everyone to get in on the Super Bowl 58 action with a no-sweat same-game parlay. But when you bet on Super Bowl 58 on FanDuel, one game can mean a lot of wins. America's #1 sports book has all your favorite bets like the money line and spread, plus all sorts of prop bets. That means when you combine all your bets for a chance at a bigger payday, you're going to get bonus bets back if your SGP doesn't win. So start building your own or just bet a popular SGP already made for you in America's #1 sportsbook. Just visit FanDuel.com/Jansen if you don't already have an account and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Must be 21 or over in present Michigan. Minimum 3-leg parlay required. Refund issued as now in trouble. Bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Max refund $5 unless otherwise specified. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problems? Call 1-800-270-7117 for confidential help. Football fans, FanDuel is the perfect way for everyone to get in on Super Bowl 58 action with a no-sweat same-game parlay. But when you bet on Super Bowl 58 on FanDuel, one game can mean a lot of wins. America's #1 sports book has all your favorite bets, like the money line and the spread, plus all sorts of prop bets. That means when you combine all your bets for a chance at a bigger payday, you're going to get bonus bets back if your SGP doesn't win. So start building your own or just bet on one of the popular SGPs already made for you in America's #1 sports book. That's money line, player props, who's going to win, straight up. It doesn't matter. Go for it right now. Just visit FanDuel.com/Jansen if you don't already have an account. And if you do, head to the app, figure it out, make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL and 97.1 The Ticket. Must be 21 or over and present in Michigan. Minimum 3-leg parlay required. Refund issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Max refund $5 unless otherwise specified. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problems? Call 1-800-270-7117 for confidential help.
Two 248-539-9797. Happy Groundhog's Day to you.
Yeah.
And we're going to get
You didn't see a shadow.
early spring.
Mm-hmm.
First time since 2020. Wow,
yes.
Great.
Good year ahead of us.
Yeah, exactly. 248-539-9797. We're talking about Aaron Glenn and what he's done and what he hasn't done and what needs to be done for you to bring him back for year number 5. I know we're way ahead of ourselves because we don't even know who they're going to get in free agency or anything like that.
Yeah, and so it's going to be clear. You've got to have more players, more playmakers as players, not just guys that are filling a roster or place holding. And John Comiskey is a good player, but he's not a guy that strikes fear into any quarterback. So you got to have somebody on the opposite side of Aiden Hutchinson, and maybe it's James Houston, but it needs to be somebody that could be an every down guy. You're not just going to get face passes on 3rd and long.
Right. By the way, somebody pointed out to me that, granted, they only played 2 games in the playoffs, but the 49ers averaged giving up 26 points a game in the playoffs and they're in the Super Bowl, but not for the whole season.
No, not for the whole season. And for the whole season, I think you're looking at like number 1 and number 2 defenses. Right. So it's clear you have the best opportunity if you have a top 5 offense, which the Lions do. Right. You have a really good special teams, which they do. The area where they lacked the most was defensively.
Yeah, and
it's not rocket science.
No, and look, I think Aaron Glenn, I think he gets too much heat because I think it's a loft problem and always will because players play. Here's some ticket text. I truly became an AG fan in the Rams game. The team came in so hot. The Lions held them to multiple field goals, which is tough in the NFL's offensive-minded league. John, we have 3 to 4 safeties already. Why would they use capital on another one? We have worse needs or more important needs. Well, I don't think Tracy Walker's going to be here next year. I don't think CD Deuce is going to be here next year.
No, you've got
Kirby Joseph,
Melifonwu,
right?
And I mean, Will Harris is a free agent.
See ya. To keep the defensive coordinator, I'd like to see them scheme in more types of defensive plays that would stop running quarterbacks. LOL, he is sitting on your lap. Russell Search. 8 inches, yes. I get it. Russell Kirkus from Imlay City. I wonder if that's relation to the great David Kirkus. Stop hating on Aaron Glenn. Stop acting like he had all his pieces to work. Do you hold Ben Johnson responsible for third quarters? Y'all give Ben Johnson more rope than anything. I agree. Aaron Glenn gets a little too much heat. And yes, Ben Johnson does get heat for the third quarter.
He does get heat for the third quarter, but he's also, along with the rest of the offensive coaches,
Right.
and again, I don't think it's just Ben Johnson, but they're top 5 offense, top 3 offense in some categories.
Hell yeah, we hoped he'd get a head coaching job. Look at his 3 years as D coordinator. Been horrible. They drafted just as many defensive players as offensive players. Got him more free agent defensive players, and they still suck. This was the only thing in an offseason I was hoping for.
Okay, they did go out in free agency, but C.J. Gardner-Johnson played a total of, 5 games?
If that.
So it was a game and a half at the beginning, and then, 2 playoff games, so 3.5 games.
Mosley.
And then Mosley played, a total of 2 plays.
Pretty much. James Houston got hurt early. I mean, there's things happen.
Yeah, but I'm talking about guys that they went out in free agency to get.
Campbell has shown he has no issue of getting rid of coaches. So if he keeps Glenn after everything, doesn't that seem like Dan knew Glenn was doing a great job with the talent he had? That's what he thinks, yes.
Yeah.
What is it with that station's fascination with Glenn? He needs to go right now. Okay. Well, we're just bringing it up. Jeff says, Sterling Heights, you're from Sterling Heights, Aaron Glenn is confusing. 1, he had a less talented defense playing at a high level in the second half of 2022. But 2, this past season with better players, they were not playing at that same level through the middle of the season. He does pretty good with great players, but if anyone's hurt, he struggles. I think he's a good coach, but would I have liked to seen someone else in there for 2024? Absolutely. Yes, I think that would have been nice. Let's go to Joe in Milford. You're a 97 on the ticket.
Hey, happy Friday, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, you too.
Hey, so I just saw this stat the other day regarding the third quarter and Ben Johnson. Well, our defense does the same thing, too, in the third quarter. Our worst quarter in football for offense and defense happens at the exact same time, the third quarter. So I don't know what happens in the locker room at halftime. Do they need to paint it? I don't know what it is, but that's what needs to get fixed.
Yeah, that's a problem. Maybe we see video of Dan's speeches at halftime. I don't know if he even says anything.
I don't know I've never seen. But we both sides failed coming out of the locker room. I don't know what it is. Are they feeding them like chili cheese dogs? What's going on in there?
Oh, maybe that's the answer. Maybe they need chili cheese dogs.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe they're too healthy.
Yes,
maybe they need to take away their phones, like Robert Saleh. He went down
just
a few pegs with that article.
Oh, that was I haven't read the entire article, and I've heard some different things that have gone on there, but yeah, the love affair that he has with Aaron Rodgers and going out and getting now the organization put all their eggs in the Aaron Rodgers basket, so it's kind of fun to watch it crash and burn.
Yes, especially when you read all these things about Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, I mean, I want to talk about the captain of the all D-bag team. That would be Aaron Rodgers.
They tried to do with they had the roster and they tried to get the QB just like the Rams.
Right.
And you can give some credit to Matthew Stafford in hindsight for how he handled himself, because you could argue that Aaron Rodgers, the way he handled himself, has made this a very difficult situation.
Well,
yeah, it's really too bad.
Yeah. The one factor that Matthew Stafford and the Rams didn't have to deal with was the injury. Now, obviously, Aaron Rodgers gets hurt. It completely changes things.
This year?
I don't know if it would work Super Bowl-wise, but they would have won a hell of a lot more games.
Yeah. They would have won a lot more games. Than
how many did they end up?
With,
5? How many games did they end up winning?
Was Zach Wilson and was it White?
No, Trevor. Was it Trevor Siemian?
Trevor Siemian was 1.
No, White was on. He was on a different team. He was on Miami, actually.
Yeah, the Jets ended up winning a total of 7 games.
7 games. So I think Aaron Rodgers is probably good for at least 3 or 4, right?
Yeah, they could have been a 10-win team.
Yeah, because that defense is still pretty damn good. And they do have some good skill players. I mean, Garrett Wilson is really good. Breece Hall is really good.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just, after seeing some of the stuff in this article, I'm not sure things play out the same way. because all this was going on during the season. What if he was there more present on a day-by-day basis in the diva, attention-seeking, all that stuff, what that does to a team? What if it created offense versus defense? With it, maybe success early. A lot of things could have derailed that. Things look very different. The one thing that team had was their defense this year.
Yeah.
But when you have something more constant in a locker room on a day-to-day basis, maybe it blows it up.
Yeah, but maybe he's able to mask some of it, and that diva doesn't necessarily come out because he is there every day.
I would not count on Aaron Rodgers masking.
Excellent.
Our telephone number is 248-539-9797. I had a procedure yesterday that was kind of interesting, and I want to know if you guys have had something similar, and how do you react? 97 won the ticket. 248-539-9797. A few weeks ago, I had a hearing test done. Because this,
What was that?
You get up there in age, and I like to be precautionary. I like to check out, make sure because my wife always, why is the TV so loud? It's,
Because I want to hear it.
I want to hear it, exactly.
It's either that or-
And they'll say something from the different room, and what'd you say? Oh, come here. I say, no, why don't you? So anyway, we'll see. Dad, you need a hearing aid. I don't think I do. So, you go and you.
It all depends on what you want.
Exactly.
How much do you actually want to hear?
Exactly. Well, anyway, so I get one once every couple years, and it showed that it has progressed. It's gotten a little worse. They take some hearing tests, and the doctor, Dr. Rubin, saw that there might be some kind of, I don't know, a polyp or something really small in one of the ear canals or something. I really didn't understand all of it, but he suggested that I go get an MRI.
For your ear?
For my ear.
Okay.
So I did that yesterday. And I've done MRIs before for different things, and as John, you probably had thousands of them. You're in a tube, a machine, whatever, and it's not the most comfortable situation to be in. This was longer than I thought, and because it was the MRIs of your brain and with the focus on the ear.
You're all the way in.
You're all the way in, and you wear this helmet.
Cage.
Yeah, whatever, and it's...
To stabilize your head so you don't move. They can't have any blurring.
Correct. And it is, and they gave me, we're going to give you earplugs because it's loud. I said, what do you mean by you're going to hear it's going to be like a jackhammer.
Yeah, it's banging.
And you're in there and you hear, and it goes, boom, 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 and it stops. And I thought it was going to be like 10, 15. It was 35 minutes.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to, me, I can fall asleep at anything. I did fall asleep for a few minutes, even with that sound, but then you wake up and, you'd have to sit there and, scratch your face and you couldn't, and that type of thing. So anyway, I just can't imagine if you are claustrophobic. It's bad enough to be in an MRI normally, but when for an appendage MRI as opposed to your brain, when you have to wear this thing, what do you do?
They have open MRIs. They have ones that are bigger for people that have issues like that, or for people that are just bigger.
Oh, okay.
Because it's not. Yes. It's a tight tube.
Oh, it's a very tight tube. Exactly. And if have you had an experience where you're in there and you freak out, you have to, they give me this, I guess it's kind of, for lack of a better word, a ball that he goes, if there's something major problem, you squeeze the ball, we'll hear it and all that.
Yes.
Yeah. Did you ever have anything?
No, I've had many MRIs, and I don't have a problem with tight spaces. So
you're not claustrophobic at all.
No.
Me neither.
Even though I am large, I always find a way to fit. And so it's no matter the sound, as soon as I go in, I fall asleep.
Well, hopefully at least she's not. Anyway, seriously though, how do you I fell asleep. I could fall asleep anywhere, but how do you fall asleep with that loud banging jackhammer?
It was very hard to do when I used to live in an apartment.
You know what? There's been many times in my life where I've had to sleep in noisy environments.
I know people that
it's
so in the city with the subway go or the L go in Chicago.
Sure, you get used to it, because I fell asleep naps for a few minutes in the locker room. Head on my shoulder pads, I would find a way to sleep for an hour and a half, because I didn't want to walk up to the dorms or wherever the rooms were and waste 15 minutes and then 15 minutes coming back. So I would sleep in that environment. And, there's a lot of stuff going on. So, sitting down or laying down and getting into an MRI, I just never had a problem with the noise. And especially with 5 kids, right? I'm not a problem with the noise. I could fall asleep anywhere.
The weirdest thing for me, and this is going to be so hard to explain, when you hear noises, for me, sometimes you think of words or something. You're thinking there's this one, burn. I'm trying to think of what it is. I kept hearing purple, and then there was another one I kept hearing bobcat.
I think maybe the MRI is probably looking for other things other than just your ear canal at that point.
Well, yeah, I know. That's just maybe.
Did you see anybody in there? Who were those voices?
I know but it just sounded like that for some reason. I was trying to somehow comfort me. I have no idea.
So it's for you. It's like laying down and looking at clouds. You're trying to figure out, well, what does that cloud look like?
Yeah.
Now it's what type of words are the sound making?
Yes, exactly.
Wow.
Subconsciously, yes, that's what was probably going on in my head. But yeah, it was.
Don't you wish you could wear headphones?
Yeah, I asked about that.
You can't have anything on you hardly at all.
I know. They said there
like
were.
My mom had to take her earrings off. She had to have a few for when she went through her colon cancer, and she couldn't stand it. She can't stand like being in close.
Right.
She gets claustrophobic.
Sure, I understand.
Yeah.
Like it drove her nuts. Like she actually moved some, which you're not supposed to do.
Correct.
Because and she actually took something to try to calm her nerves.
Yeah, I mean they can give you a sedative if they have to. I mean, you should have.
But they can't knock you out either.
Not if they're doing your head.
No.
Right.
No. Look, it wasn't bad. You know, it just took longer than I thought, and it was just
Yeah.
louder than I thought. But other than that, I mean, I was fine. You know, the hardest part for me is just not moving because I'm pretty, as you know, fidgety.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I mean,
yes.
So sitting there like this, and then they had to give like a special because my neck
Yeah.
does not go straight down. Like when I'm at the beach, I need something because
You need some support. Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
and-
The hump.
Yeah, exactly. That is very, very true. 248-539-9797. What's the worst hospital experience that you've had or tested? Do you remember?
I don't have going to a hospital in general just is bad. I don't like the whole concept of whether you're visiting or whether you're there to have a procedure done. Right. Probably, I don't know, because I've always been kind of fascinated by the whole medical community in and of itself. And I watched my hand surgery, which I thought was very interesting. So I don't have a problem with tight spaces. I don't have a problem with the blood and guts or, them cutting into me. The worst one, here's the worst one I had. And it was just because it was the most uncomfortable. I had gotten punched in the throat and couldn't breathe for, a little bit until they were able to open up, the
larynx.
The larynx. And then I had to go to the doctor because then I couldn't talk. It was hard to breathe. And they put this tube up my nostril and down the back of my throat. And I was watching it, on the video screen.
Yeah.
And the doctor's talking about it. And I'm, that was the most uncomfortable test that I've ever had.
I can't.
By far.
Yeah. Did watching it make it worse or better?
I think it made it better. I would like to see what's going on.
So when you were when your wife was having labor, you were in the room, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
But did you have to have a certain vantage point, or could you just watch anything that was going on?
Oh, I could watch it. Yeah, I watched from incision to ejection.
I hung out by Kelly's head.
Yeah.
Right. Well,
because I wasn't sure and I didn't want to ruin it, but I actually have a big stomach for that too because of the things I went through.
Oh, I got
my broken
pictures
femur.
Well, if my kids were C-section.
Yeah,
okay?
same here.
So
that's what I talk when I talk about ejection. I'm not talking about
right. So I wanted to, because if it's not C-section, you can video the birth. C-section, I had no idea. It's surgery because if we make a mistake, we don't want it on video. Basically, is what they tell you. So no, I
got pictures of Ruby halfway out.
Oh, I have audio though.
Oh, you do?
Because I kept it. I turned it down, but didn't turn it off. So there is audio there. I haven't listened to that.
A lot of slushing around.
No, it's just a little.
I'm like you though, John. When I can watch certain things,
Yeah.
I can watch them poke me and get blood, and I could care less. It fascinates me that scares people.
Yeah.
In a dentist, I can watch the needle come right at me like that, and I'm like, cool.
Yeah.
I
now
think
that's
it's,
one I don't know that I could do because I have over the last couple of years I've had to wear glasses. Never had to wear glasses. I had perfect vision. Now I've got a vision issue, and I wear them for driving. I wear them for reading. and to have the laser on your eye.
Oh, with my two retina things, there you know you're not completely out. It's
you got
weird.
something coming at your eyeball.
It's weird.
Yeah,
it
I'm
is.
not sure. That'd be about the only one where I'd be like,
it is very strange.
Like my tolerance is pretty extreme, and it is. I don't know if I've told you guys this. I broke my femur playing hockey. The worst thing about all that was when I got put into traction, they didn't put me out. They tried to numb me.
Mm-hmm.
When they started the drill through my calf, they didn't numb me enough, and I felt it.
Ooh.
That sucks.
I can tell you right now, and I tell you that my leg fidgets, and I get the reminder of that feeling.
When you hear a drill?
No, it doesn't actually. Thank God.
Okay.
I've never until you did that. Now you've probably put a trigger on me.
Yeah.
I'm telling you what, man, that was torture.
248-539-9797. Congratulations to Dave in South Lyon. He wins the Viviano gift certificate. He heard me say I'm a sanctity person. Go to Viviano for all your Valentine's Day needs, Viviano.com, or call 800-VIVIANO. All right, coming up, we will have another episode of The Pyramid.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, sounds good.
248-539-9797.
Hey, when it comes to managing your finances, you need a bank that gets you and is genuinely interested in your success. That's why I bank with First Merchants Bank. Whether it's your business banking or day-to-day personal banking, First Merchants Bank is 100% interested in helping you prosper. First Merchants bankers are attentive. They asked me questions, and they took the time to get to know me and my family and my needs, and they worked with me to build a plan that fit my specific situation. When you make the switch to First Merchants Bank, you're also going to get access to their highly rated mobile banking app with innovative personal finance tools. Plus, they're deeply connected to the community's needs because it's their community as well. They volunteer and donate on a regular basis to local causes to ensure that we all continue to prosper together. This is the difference of 100% interest in you. For a better banking experience, visit firstmerchants.com. That's firstmerchants.com. First Merchants Bank, helping you prosper. Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
248-539-9797. We're going to do the little pyramid fun coming up in a little bit. Bob and Troy, you're on 97.1 The Ticket.
Hey guys, I'm going to my second MRI for my hip replacement later this month. My first one was open. It wasn't really that open, and I'm claustrophobic. But they gave me headphones, asked me my favorite band. They put that on. I had my emergency button in my left hand. And when they put the music on, I was like, wow, this is a lot better than thinking about what, because I'm just sweating, right? Now my second one, I have to go in the tube. But then you think, hey, are you going to go through 40 minutes of this craziness to make your hip feel better and you can walk? I'm going through it. That makes a difference.
Was the
motivation does? Yes.
Well, was the first one a hip also? What kind of injury was it?
Yeah, it was for my hip. This is my second one. Something was going on with the first one, so they showed like a disc, like a cookie that you're supposed to slide into, and it's open all around. Well, it really wasn't like that. It was sort of enclosed.
Oh.
And it was, and yeah, the noises go bzzz, bzzz, sort of shakes you. But, yeah, when they put the headphones on, listening to some live Led Zeppelin, I was fine.
Yes.
You know, that's what you do. You got to think of the good things because it is really like a coffin.
Yeah, well, that's what they start playing Stairway.
I know, exactly. You beat me to it. Ken and Fenton, you're on 97 on The Ticket.
Hey, guys.
Hey, Ken.
I've had quite a few MRIs. I didn't play NFL, but I played semi-pro. And I remember one MRI that I had, John, I could totally relate. I'm sitting there and the lady walks in, and I'm 240, you know, and she goes, we called you on the phone, right? And I said, yeah, we did this. And she said, we asked you if you were big, or how big you were. And I said, yeah, what are you trying to say? And she goes, oh, you should fit. And immediately I'm like, oh my God, what are you talking about? So I walk in the room and the MRI is all set up, right? And they strap you down. This is the first one I've ever had because they were doing a cervical spine MRI. And they strap you down and you got to literally be strapped to the table. And then the MRI starts up and he said, here's your button. You got to push it. And like the last guy just said, my button was way down on the side next to my belt. And you could move just your fingers and stuff. It was literally like a torture chamber. So when he slid inside, I'm like, I'm never claustrophobic at all. But I get inside the MRI and I'm like, oh God, this is really close. And John, I could feel my breath bouncing off the MRI. I wouldn't even open my eyes because it started to freak me out. And so they're like, this is going to be an hour long. And I'm like, oh my God. So I'm listening to the music and she says, oh, and I go, what? And she goes, we got to redo it. You move too much. She said, you're breathing so hard that you're making the MRI move. I go,
wow.
Are you kidding me? So I was in there for 2 hours almost. Oh, it was the worst ever.
At least you got music. See, I didn't even get music. I was just imagining words. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll close out the week with
my time to imagine words. Yes.
Another trip to the $20,000 pyramid. All right. Our contestant hails from Clawson, Michigan. Please
This
welcome.
sounds so official.
Please welcome Jonathan Jansen. Hi, John. How are you?
I'm good. I've always wanted to be on. I've watched for years. First time I've had a chance to be on. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Play the home version?
Yeah.
Yes.
It says here you were a former NFL player.
Yeah, many years ago.
For the Washington Redskins and the Detroit Lions. What was a better experience?
Just being a football player or which team?
Which team?
Oh, wow. That's a tough question. It's hard to answer that one in such a short time.
Okay. Well, gee, way to commit. All right, here we go. You'll just let it play out. Yeah, things John Jansen would say. That'll be on the next version of the pyramid. All right, here we go. We have some categories, and you have to come up with what these things.
Yes. I will blurt out the answer. Yes.
All right, here we go.
Could you slow down a little bit?
Yes, I will slow down.
Okay.
I never apologized to Chris Webber. I had no idea Jeff Jackson was really Xavier Simpson. I wanted to hold Jim to a higher standard, but Santa wouldn't let me. Yes, very good.
Yes.
Repeat that last one just so he hears it.
I wanted to hold Jim to a higher standard, but Santa wouldn't let me. And the other one that I had was I was one of Bo's least accomplished linemen. I'm sure
I'm a
somebody's going
fanboy of Juwan.
All right, here we go. Next category. Anna, Emily, Jessica, Sam, Teddy, Brooks,
Oh,
Ruby,
kids on
Marissa.
the 97.1 The Ticket show. Morning show. Yes.
Children of 97.1 ticket employees.
Very good. All right, here we go. This might be the toughest one. Maybe, then maybe again.
Poor children.
Yes. Find your own way to school.
I like, this is going to be tough. I like Korean employees and I like Korean tenants. What kind of guy goes to every city, has sex with every girl, then he goes and catches HIV? He made love with every girl in every city in America, and he had AIDS. And when he had those AIDS, I went to my synagogue and I prayed for him. My mistress' name was V. Stiviano. I used to own the Clippers.
Who is the Microsoft guy?
No, he's the current. He's the current owner of the Clippers.
You just don't remember his name.
They called me a slumlord.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of his name. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the former president. Well, no, they did. He was
Things
called that.
Donald Sterling would say.
Yeah, things Donald Sterling
Or said.
Said. Yes, exactly. Anyway. Yeah, you got 2 out of 3. It's good.
Yeah.
See, are you getting this yet?
I think I've proven that I have. Yeah.
No, I mean in terms of why we played. I mean, we would play
it's fun, yeah.
We play it because it's simple categories like the children one.
Yeah.
It was really so Stoney could say weird stuff and get away with it.
Right, yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
You know.
No, I 100% got that one early on.
Yeah. The best was like, because you'd have Wojo saying it, and sometimes when one of us, usually Wojo wasn't there, like Matt Derry, or we even had Aaron Ward say it once because he was the guest host at one point. So.
You just try to get somebody to blurt out something that's going to be a drop.
Exactly.
Precisely.
But we had nice prizes for him, though.
Oh, yeah. Oh, what did I get? What was my prize?
Well, you're
not eligible.
You're not eligible.
You work here.
And you didn't get the Donald Sterling, so you didn't get the...
Yeah.
Oh, but I got the ones earlier. I mean, I nailed those.
That's sorry. Because I used to say, congratulations, you got the pyramid! Right, or whatever.
But then he did that one time and they didn't win.
Oh, yeah.
Which is a great Stoney moment.
That's right. Exactly.
It's like the 2 Grand Slam, celebrating that somebody got, 10 out of 10, but they only got 9.
So I assume we'll be hearing some of those, I won't call them great, but embarrassing moments over the next 2 weeks, in particular.
Let's just call them moments.
Yes, exactly.
Moments.
Yes, because Gov is...
Why be redundant?
True.
Yeah.
Gov has saved a lot of them. There's like a treasure treasure
that
chest.
much now.
You have plenty. You could listen.
You have enough to get the job done.
Yes, you do.
Let's just say that.
All right. Carson Anderson coming up next. Gator, what's going on?
How is everybody today?
We're good.
Are you?
How's your Friday?
It's all right.
Yeah?
Yeah. I mean, I'll feel better at 2:00, but, this is just so I understand why you guys are good. We're out of here. It's good. It's a strange weekend, man. Football.
I know.
Right?
I know.
But it's different than every other year because usually there's no football, but because the Lions...
I know. Normally we're like, all right, here we go. Mock draft 16 that we've already done this year, and we honestly have not even mentioned...
Senior Bowl.
I know.
We haven't mentioned any of that.
We haven't talked at all Senior Bowl. Normally I'm watching the Senior Bowl all
Well,
week.
Doug usually used to watch practices all the time,
Yeah,
right?
well, we've had it on in the studio, but we're not commenting on it. I mean, I'm reading about it a little bit here and there, and the Toledo defensive back looks really good, but I mean, there's nothing there right now because we just finished.
Yeah, Lions have changed our lives. Yeah,
totally changed it. It's just a messed up weekend now, and is this what we're going to get used to now? I guess, right? Got a good football team. Might as well get used to it.
Yep. Now the goal is not just to play meaningful football in January, is to play it in February.
No, I mean the expectations for the fans have changed. I think dramatically, or as we like to say on the show, and you combine a couple words. Dramatically.
Well done.
I like that.
Yeah.
By the way, Teddy Bridgewater has just been named the head coach at Miami Northwestern High School.
Oh, good for him.
And he's also going to be Hendon Hooker's quarterback coach during the offseason.
Good.
Hardly.
Yeah, Hendon Hooker said he was going to live with him, right?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So he's going to hang with him in Miami, and then he's going to go out to California, work with Jared Goff, and he's going to get in touch with the receivers and the running backs and the tight ends and get some work in
Go spend some time down in South Beach.
all off season. Hey, look, man, I just want the guy to I think maybe it might be more important to hang out with Goff than it is with Bridgewater at this point. But who knows? maybe obviously Teddy's got some time.
Yep.
Teddy didn't take a snap this year, huh?
No.
No, he didn't. He didn't even
Not
come
a
in.
snap.
No.
How much money did he make for not taking a snap?
Hey, that's what
I mean, it's an insurance policy.
And
right,
I've
that's what
always
insurance
said
is.
You
don't wanna use
the
it.
best job in all of professional sports is the backup quarterback.
Because the backup goalie plays.
Right. Yeah, and backup goalies are going to play 20, 30 games a year. But
Backup quarterback plays, and he didn't even have to do the whole preseason thing. He had a couple of snaps.
Right, he really didn't play much at all.
But you get
Because he got there late.
you get 3 or 4 snaps during the week on a given day. But they don't want you to get hurt. They just want you to be fresh enough.
Right.
And then when it's the defenses out there, it's the number 3 or the practice squad quarterbacks are getting all the reps. You literally hold a clipboard for 6 months and cash your checks.
I think it'd be interesting to look that up. Out of the however many quarterbacks there were that played all and started all 17 games this year,
There's a lot of quarterbacks that got hurt this year. There's a
I
lot
know,
of
that's
rookie
what I'm saying.
quarterbacks
So there's
that
only
had to play.
like maybe a dozen of those guys that played
Yeah.
the whole year. Out of those guys that played the whole year, how many of their backups never took a snap? You know, because obviously Bridgewater's a guy who did not take a snap and
Yeah.
never saw the field.
Right.
That's a good question.
I mean, did Teddy Bridgewater even warm up on the sideline? Like, was there a point where Goff was so bad against? It wasn't just Goff, and the whole team was bad against Baltimore. Did Teddy even warm up on the sidelines against the Ravens?
I don't know, but at some point he had to be bored enough to say, "Hey, you want to toss the ball around?"
Let's play catch.
Anybody? Anybody?
Yes.
No?
All right, Carson Anderson coming up next. Have a great weekend, everyone. 97 won the ticket.
Well, it is a Friday. And here I am by my lonesome in the studio. I hope you people are happy. You chased away Doug Karsh. Okay? I hope you're happy. Caller Ed, I hope you're satisfied. The rest of you people that called in yesterday kept harping on 4th and 2. I hope you're happy. Doug had it. He picked up his ball and he went home. He's done. You guys drove him out. You broke him. He said, Ken, correct me if I'm wrong. Doug got up, took his headphones off, kind of threw him in the cubicle, and said, F this, I'm out of here. Have fun tomorrow.
He said, I'm done.
I'm out. I'm not anymore. I'm out. I am done for the week anyway.
He said the weekend starts now.
Yeah, exactly. And then he cracked open a beer right there, which I thought was strange. And then he shotgunned a beer.
Yeah, it was Stone Cold Steve Austin style.
Yeah, he just kept going and kept going and kept going. I'm like, that's not the Doug Karsh I know, but I mean, I guess, dry January and caller Ed and a couple other callers in Texas really kind of taking a toll. I mean, Doug has had it. And in fairness, we did say we wanted to embargo the topic. It was Doug's fault. He kind of allowed it to happen. Then caller Ed happened. I'll share a little bit of the blame because I wasn't going to hang up. I wanted to hear more and more. Please, Ed, tell me more how obstinate you can be about not hearing the other side of a 4th and 2 call. It can only be one way, of course. I wanted more of that. I wanted all the smoke, so I was fine with it. What I didn't know, and had I known at the time that the reaction was going to be that Doug would walk out on a Friday, if I'd known that was going to happen, clearly I would have put an end to that call sooner. But, hey, hope you're happy, folks. Doug's out.
You did it, people. You drove him away.
Broke him.
The voice of Michigan football.
That man is done.
You see, people, obviously this is radio, but people, if they could see if they're on Twitch or YouTube, Doug was, he hand in his head, just backing away from the microphone. Pushing his chair back.
I don't know if you saw, it was after caller Ed. There were some other callers that kind of agreed with what Ed had to say. They were being, obstinate as well. And again, we can have a difference of opinion. That's great. I actually love the part, go a little back and forth. We have the conversation, and that's fine. But if you're just going to flat out refuse logic from another side, then I don't get it. There's no point in doing that. Did you notice the pantomime that Doug did where he put the gun to his head? Did you see that part?
Yes.
I mean, he had absolutely had it. Absolutely had it.
I think we're done with that topic. That specific call.
Right. That.
Yeah, like, hey, should he have kicked that on 4th? Because we all
4th
know.
4th and 2, 248-539-97.
We all know Dan Campbell is going to make a decision like that again. And we can even talk about it this summer, how you want him to approach those decisions. But that specific call against the Niners, that's it, man.
Guys, when the Lions went for it on 4th and 2, sorry, you're out. All done. No mas. That's a true embargo. All right? Doug and I were split on the Stafford stuff this year. I'm like, I don't care. Bring it up. Towards the end of the year when it looked like the Lions are going to face the Rams in the playoffs and all those storylines coming up, and Doug's like, I want nothing to do with it. I'm like, bring it on, man. I'm chesty about this game. I don't care. So let's see Kelly Stafford each week. It doesn't bother me. Didn't bother me at all. This is when I'm with him on this. This is a full-on embargo. No more 4th and 2. Okay? We don't go back to that specific play in that specific game. We don't do it. But like Hank said, at some point we will bring up, probably not today's show, but we'll bring up about Campbell's gambles. And, as you get your team bigger and better, do you still want them to coach in that manner? That's a topic for a later day, another discussion. Happy Friday, everybody. It is Friday. Of course, Doug is not here. You drove him off, so that's why he's not here. Kang is with us. We take your calls and your texts. 248-539-9797 is the telephone number. Just kind of getting into the gist of what's going on today. It's a weird day. We're heading into a weekend where there's no football. And, of course, this happens every week, or every year, I should say. Every year we've got this, right? But as Lions fans, typically at this point, we've exhausted several versions of mock drafts. Probably some guys are at mock draft 2.0 already. We've already gone through those. We're looking at the rosters of the Senior Bowl and breaking down some of those practices and, hey, who looks good, who doesn't look good, and how about this Michigan receiver looks outstanding, and I mean, we haven't even talked about it. Not even a lick. Like I keep putting on my show sheet. We had Mel's 1.0. Do we want to go to Mel? No?
Is it just one? I swear to you, I do not even know what version, like ESPN or any of the other ones, like what mock draft they're on right now.
Mel is on 1.0.
Okay.
He just released it like a week, but it's been a week, over a week that's been out.
We haven't even touched it.
Haven't even touched it.
Like right now, our dealer's like, dude, you still alive? A wellness check, right?
Exactly. Yeah, I've had knocks at the door.
Hey, you still there?
Right. NFL Network and CBS Sports.com, they've been knocking on the door. Hey, hello? You got Daniel Jeremiah? Anybody?
You're right. Got something less expensive if you want.
Yeah, we can go. We've got a bunch. We've already put out like 10 mock drafts. You want to see them? Nah, not yet. I suspect next week is going to be a different story, bringing back some more football stuff. But, I mean, it's just weird. And the NFL has their Pro Bowl coverage going on. They had some skills competition last night, and I didn't watch it. Not a second of it. I was scrolling through my phone, and I saw some story about they had a picture of Sam Laporta. I'm like, oh, let me see that. And apparently he was fielding punts, and you had to catch the punt, but you had to keep the football. So the next punt that goes up in the air, and it's the machine, you have a football in your hand, you're trying to catch a second. And then if you keep catching it, you have to keep hanging on those footballs. So at one point, I think he had 4 footballs and was trying to catch a 5th or whatever the case was, and he did, and he was great at it. And then I saw this morning that Miles Killebrew apparently was in it too. Former Detroit Lion. He's at the Pro Bowl. Okay. Congratulations, Miles Killebrew. Didn't know. And he's like diving to catch the last one. And so apparently it was skills competition last night. I don't know if that got your
juices flowing.
Yeah, that satisfy the football.
Oh, yeah, now I'm over the loss after I saw that.
Yeah. Yeah, good now. Yeah. Oh, Baker Mayfield. All right.
Oh, yeah.
Hey. Oh, Stafford didn't want to show.
You know what?
Oh.
Like, I'd rather have them do like real life stuff. Like, how many grocery bags can you carry in from the car to the house?
Now you're talking.
Now those are real Pro Bowl games.
Yeah, exactly. I'm proud of myself with that. You can. It depends on the bag. Is it a plastic bag? Is it is it a paper bag?
Throw in a 12-pack of pop or something or beer. Oh my! What do you do with that?
How about it? I got a big thing of toilet paper.
Do you tuck that under your armpit? Or you like?
I mean, and then you've got how many doors with knobs do you have to negotiate?
What kind of knobs?
My house, getting from my garage into my kitchen to set the stuff down.
You using your elbow? What
I have 1, 2, 3. I have 3 doors to go through. 3 doors. With knobs.
All right.
No, they're not the handle.
Not
it's
the handles.
knob.
The knobs, those are hard. Like, no judgment here. No one's listening, just me and you. Have you ever had to use your mouth to open
Sweet Jesus.
to open up the door?
Come on, man.
Hey, no judgment.
You just asked me if I've used my mouth on a knob to open a door. The answer is no. Never.
Yeah. Me neither.
Okay. 248-539-9797 is the telephone number. What are we doing without football? What are we doing this weekend? I need to hear from the people out there. We're going to have the sun is, I don't know. Ludeman told me the sun's coming out today. I don't see it. And Ludeman hurt me earlier this week too, but that's beyond the point. Hopefully we get the sun today. The temperatures are going to be higher up into the 40s, but overnight they're going to be in the 20s. I kind of like that, so it can, keep things cooler when it needs to be. But what are we doing this weekend? 248-539-9797 is the telephone number. Same number to text us if you want to do that. We want to hear from you because obviously there is no football. It's kind of a strange weekend. NHL All-Star Weekend. We get the Pro Bowl stuff, but are we watching that? Let's hear from you next. 97.1, The Ticket. So I decided to look it up. We had the crosstalk discussion about Teddy Bridgewater. And what an amazing year for Teddy Bridgewater. His last year in the National Football League, as he's announced his retirement. Now he's going back to Miami to coach high school there, which is awesome. Congratulations to Teddy Bridgewater on a pretty great career. Was a first-round pick way back in 2014. But he made $2.5 million this past year. $2.5 million. Did not take a snap. And according to Jansen, you get like 3 reps in practice a day. So, but look, that's exactly how you draw it up, right? You don't want to have to, it's emergency break glass type situation. Or if you're using your backup quarterback, it's because you're either ahead by a great deal or you're behind by a great deal. And the Lions didn't have much of those opportunities. They, like one game they were smoked. And
there was that moment, that one game that kind of people brought up. I think you might have brought up too. Hey, maybe at this point, maybe see Teddy Bridgewater, the Ravens game, right?
Yeah, the Ravens game, and then there was the Denver game that got up big and Goff threw 5 touchdown passes, and maybe they just wanted to get him to 5 or whatever. I don't know what. Look, Bridgewater never saw the field. That's great for him.
No, it's great. That's the insurance policy in the NFL. You don't want to use your insurance policy. You have it there. It's funny because it was a big talking point this offseason. Going into the season, it's the backup quarterback, and thank goodness they never had to use him. But it was a big deal because the year before, I mean, David Blau. You have to say this with all due respect, and I'm going to start disrespecting every quarterback I name off here. With all due respect, but David Blau, Nate Sudfeld, who else? Josh Johnson. I don't even remember who else they had. They had a bunch of guys that you didn't want to see play. So then they went and got Teddy Bridgewater and never used them anyways.
So, and I don't know why I'm just repeating it because it's just interesting stats for me. And again, I don't mean any disrespect to Bridgewater or anybody else. I think this is just kind of fascinating and great for him for doing this. Again, this was a former first-round pick. Last pick in the first round of 2014
he
out of
started
Louisville.
A ton of games in his career.
Not really, though.
No?
This is what I'm looking at. I mean,
I thought the Vikings and the Dolphins.
He started his rookie season. He started 12 games. His next year, he started 16 games. Was hurt the next year into the following season, so he didn't start any games for 2 years in 16 or 17. Came back in 2018 to play for New Orleans. Started 1 game. Was available for 16. 2019, he started 5 games. 2020 goes to Carolina, starts 15 games. 2021 goes to Denver, starts 14 games.
There you go. See,
plays with Miami in 2022, plays 1 game and none games with the Lions. Apparently, it says he got in for a game, although it doesn't say it says 0.3 percentage of. Oh, he had 3 snaps. My bad. He took 3 snaps. I don't remember those 3 snaps. So in his career, he started 64 games. In his career, he made $64 million. $1 million a game started.
That's a good career,
That's
man.
a great career. That's awesome.
And on top of that, he almost lost his leg, if not his life. Do you remember that?
Really
So
serious.
this is actually a really, really cool story that he was able to come through and still stay in the league and be a serviceable backup.
Yeah, I liked him in college. Thought he was real fun to watch in college, and threw up some big numbers, and good for him in retirement. Congratulations to Teddy Bridgewater. Going to take over a high school program in Florida, which is good. And Hendon Hooker apparently is going to go live with him to learn as much as he can. 248-539-9797 is the telephone number. But I did ask a question because this is we got this strange weekend where it happens every year that there's no football on this weekend between the championship games and the Super Bowl. But as Lions fans, typically we've been, already had a month head start on the mock drafts. We're watching the Senior Bowl footage. We're going to talk about players we want to watch in the Senior Bowl and talk about on Monday and all this stuff. And we're not doing that this year. We didn't do it because the Lions season just ended, 6 days ago, 5 days ago. And it was a hell of a run, a ton of fun. But so what are we doing? What's going on this week? What are we doing this weekend? 248-539-9797. Let's go to the phones. Joe is first up here, 97 on the ticket. Hey, Joe.
Hello. How are you guys doing?
Doing well. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Well, it's nice with a little positivity on Friday compared to yesterday. Now, the one thing I'd like to do, obviously, in the off season, like most people, go on Spot Track, do the whole thing over the cap, just kind of see where we're at.
In terms of looking at, so people understand, those are two websites you can go to look at, see how much cap space the Lions have, which is around $61 million, they say.
Yeah, and then you check out, okay, you got Decker's contract this year. I think it's at the end of this year. It's over in 24. But just a huge thanks to Brad Holmes for figuring this out, because after you pay, and this is why I'm not like completely upset about the whole Goff contract thing, the cap's going to go up in the future. And then on top of that, if you pay Panay, Amon-Ra, and then you pay Goff, I mean, you're sitting around, give or take, I just threw out numbers like, $30 million for Panay or whatever it is. It's like it's a more conservative number. You're sitting around like $114 million after that in cap space. And it's incredible that, like, we're in this position with so much flexibility and trust that our GM is going to be able to draft people with low contracts and be able to perform so far. Obviously, it's not something you can always bank on. It's hard to hit in the draft, but it is, positively going forward, this is a sustainable thing for the Lions.
Yeah, they've done it, and thanks for the call, Joe. The Lions have done a great job of maneuvering with this cap, and it comes about mainly because of how they've drafted. They've been able to, certainly under Brad Holmes, with the 3 drafts under his belt, they found a bunch of starting players that are all on rookie contracts, and that helps to balance things out. So when you have some more top-heavy contracts, like with a Taylor Decker or a Jared Goff, you're able to kind of absorb that. On the other side of that is that guys are coming up, and these are core player guys. You're going to want to give them longer-term contracts, but they're in a good position. Dissner is the money cap guy with the Lions, and he was considered to be the GM, was under consideration for the general manager job in Carolina. Decided that he wants to stay here, which is great. I don't think he was offered a job, but kind of takes himself out of the running and stays here. It's another one of those pieces that I'm looking at. That's an important piece, right? Ben Johnson coming back is a big piece. Aaron Glenn coming back is a pretty big piece. Dissner coming back, I think, is also a big piece. Keeping the coaching staff together as much as you can is huge. Having the front office together is going to be huge. Brad Holmes continues to have success. There's going to be some team out there that's going to want to poach him at some point and offer him big-time money. Fortunately, there's no cap associated with people in the front office. And when you have Ford money backing you, I think that I'm going to feel pretty comfortable that no matter what overtures come the Lions' way for Brad Holmes, that they'll be able to hang on to him. And I think that's huge. And same thing with Dan Campbell. These are 2 monster pieces you have to keep together. But moving forward, trying to maneuver with this cap world and how the cap changes every year. Every year that cap goes up because the NFL just prints money. So contracts that look crazy may not be as crazy as you think. It's all about a percentage of the cap as opposed to just that number. When you see that, Jared Goff is a $30 million cap hit this year, $31 million cap hit this year, it looks big, and it is. But in the grand scheme of things, percentage-wise, it's not that bad. But when he gets an extension, and I think we all can agree he's going to be offered an extension. It's up to him if he wants to take it. Whatever that number is, if it ends up being $45 or $50 million a year for 5 years, it's a monster hit. And then they're going to have to add other guys to that list, like the caller mentioned, Penei Sewell and Amon-Ra St. Brown. These are guys that might set the market at their positions because they're coming up first. Amon-Ra wasn't a first-round pick, so he doesn't have that 5th year built in. It's a 4-year contract, and he's ready to enter year 4. So when do you start negotiating with him to give him his deal? And as productive as he has been, he really could set the market for wide receivers. Now, as a slot receiver, maybe that's different than, say, a wide receiver. But nonetheless, it's going to be big-time money. 248-539-9797 is the telephone number. Look, Brad Holmes is going to speak Monday. And we want to talk about what Brad Holmes is going to say and what you want him to say. We'll talk about it with you next year on 97.1 The Ticket. Welcome back to Carson Anderson here on 97.1 The Ticket. Gator with you today, taking your calls at 248-539-9797. Kang's here. We showed up. You guys done chased Doug away. He had enough after yesterday's show. You broke him. You absolutely broke him. People complaining about the Lions game on Sunday night, and Dan Campbell complaints, and just you broke him. He had to leave.
I think when we were talking about the show this week, earlier in the week before the show, he wanted to kind of like be done with it pretty early in the week. The fact that we got into it so deep yesterday.
Yeah. we may have poked the dragon a little bit.
He looked at us and goes, "Are we doing this?" I'm like, dude, we're doing this now. We are. We're definitely doing it now.
You can tell there are times when he wants to shut it down real quick, and he's like, "All right, we're just going to agree to disagree," and he thinks that's going to stop it, and I'm like, that's not going to stop it. People are still gonna call up, and and he'll say that to me occasionally. And I'll be like, "Well, don't cut me off. I want this," and I'll do the same to him, and he'll be like, "No, I've got more on this." But yesterday was too much. It was too much. All this, and Doug left. We got some.
He left. He never came back.
Yeah, he's gone. Hopefully he's back Monday. We'll see. But got some ticket text. This is an interesting one. I didn't know this. Unnamed texter said, "I just saw Doug at Burger King eating 2 Whoppers."
There must be Impossible Whoppers.
Have to be, because we know. I mean,
he's not eating the red meat.
We knew that.
We didn't push him that far.
No, I don't think. But if he went to Burger King, he's definitely getting the onion rings.
And the Impossible Whopper.
The Impossible Whopper. Regarding the Pro Bowl coverage this weekend, they should have had the Pro Bowlers do a diaper changing challenge.
Oh, for maybe the new dads? That'd been a good one. I know how that is, man. There's a technique, there's a skill you develop once you do it that many times.
I'll trust you.
You don't want to do it. Did you ever have to change your nieces or nephews' diapers?
Not one.
Really?
Not one.
And I don't blame you. You're the uncle. You don't have to. That's the best part about being an uncle. But I was curious if,
Early on, before my niece was born, I think there were discussions, they're very brief discussions had about, babysitting and stuff like that. And I made it pretty clear. I said something to the effect of, I won't be babysitting until those kids can clean up after themselves, walk, and talk. Those are the 3 things.
I'm surprised you were that open. I thought you were just going to say, listen.
No, I love my niece and nephew. I don't mind hanging out.
Not about them. It's to your brother and your sister-in-law. Like, listen, I love you guys, but hell no.
Yeah,
don't ever drop them off at my house.
I think there's another side of that coin, which is probably my brother and my sister-in-law saying to themselves, there's no way in hell we're going to leave the kids alone with Uncle Scott. That's just not going to happen.
Work both ways.
Yeah, exactly. Now that they're older, absolutely, sure. Come on over. I have no problem. But, back when the kids are little, not so much. Could they add a hot dog eating contest for the Pro Bowl? I suppose they could have.
Could you imagine like a kicker taking out an offensive lineman in that contest?
That would be something.
What, right?
That would be something.
Tucker takes down Ragnow. Oh my!
Sadly, those are 2 guys that could participate now because their teams are out of the playoff. What would have been fun would be something like Tucker against a Kelsey.
I'll take that all day.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
Or against a Trent Williams.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Trent Williams. I think he could put down some.
That guy scares me, and I'm seriously afraid of him. And I know I'll never be in the same room as him, but he's a tough SOB, and he's angry. I feel like he's angry a lot.
I think he is, and he uses that to his advantage. Yes. It's his superpower. It's like Hulk. What am I doing this weekend without football? Cleaning dog poop out of my backyard for my 2 German Shepherds. It's Mike in Hazel Park. Yeah, I get it. And this time of year, and now that the snow is melted.
Yep, you can see the grass and the poop, right?
Yeah, you can see it, and it's not pretty. It's not good. Royal Oak Winterfest, the Plymouth Ice Carving Show. Mega 80s are at the Magic Bag in Ferndale. Family Day at Barcade in Detroit. Kids play, and so the parents. Yeah, those are all great things. Actually, I saw the first 2 on that list at the Winterfest in Royal Oak, and also the Plymouth Ice Carving Show. You ever been to that in Plymouth?
No, but I hear that one's very popular.
That might be worth taking the kids to.
Yeah, and
it'll be the weather should be perfect for it. It's going to be hopefully sunny, maybe in the high 30s. Hopefully it doesn't melt the ice for the ice sculptures. But I don't think it's that warm to do it too rapidly. But I did that years ago. It was a lot of fun.
And there's like, it's an outdoor event, right? So do they like food trucks and things like that, or tents, or?
I think that this is when I went. It was probably 15 years ago, so probably before the advent of the food truck was so
popular.
So popular. But I would imagine they've got that. Plus, it's downtown Plymouth, so there's a million restaurants and bars there anyway. It's pretty cool. Done that. I haven't gone to the Royal Oak Winterfest. Like to. Mega 80s. I've seen the Mega 80s several times at the Magic Bag. That's always a good time.
Do they do all 80s, or is it like just power ballads, or is it rock?
They usually do 2 sets. The first set is all 80s music, and it's like the pop music, and there are a lot of mashups they'll do. Combining songs or just medleys. They'll do 5 songs in one fell swoop. They just do a couple of stanzas from one song, go right into the next if they're kind of a common theme with some of the notes, which is really great. They've been doing this forever. They know what they're doing. It's great. And then the second set, from what I recall, is all 80s hair metal.
Dude, you got a big grin on your face.
Yeah,
right
because it's fun, but it's the same type of thing. So they're mashing up the songs again, and I'd rather just hear you play each song individually. But it's great. It's if you've never seen the Mega 80s, see them. It's a great time. It's a lot of fun, and they dress up for the second part of it. It's pretty great. What do you mean? What are we doing this weekend? Boat show. That's at John Lake Orion.
You deserve it.
Oh, you do deserve it. You deserve to buy that boat, if that's what you'd like. Go ahead, buy that boat. 248-539-9797 is the telephone number. Same out of Texas as well. All right, so Brad Holmes is going to be talking with the media on Monday, and an opportunity to kind of recap what happened this season, look forward. I imagine there's going to be more looking forward than there is looking back. But one of the things you're looking forward to is, what is the future for this team? They've got 30 free agents on the roster that they're going to have to deal with. They're not all unrestricted. Some are restricted. But they're going to have to make decisions on guys. And there's a ton of them. And you know that there's going to be a player or two from that list that you're like, oh, they got to bring him back. And they don't. And that's going to be kind of heartbreaking in a way. You also know that you've got the biggest question out there right now is about the quarterback. And is he going to get extended? But what do you want Brad Holmes to say on Monday? I mean, is it a guy that you want back? Is oh, please, reassure me that this is happening? Is it working on a contract for Amon-Ra St. Brown? I just looked at the contracts for the players, and this is why they're in a great position. With the offense in particular, they're spending $10 million a year on the running game, on just the running backs. Between Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery, those two make this upcoming season going to make almost between $10 and $11 million, just under $11 million. You add to that, Amon-Ra St. Brown's contract pays him $1.25 million for this upcoming season. For those 3 playmakers, and I think that's roughly 35 touchdowns from those 3 guys, you're talking about $12 million spent. That's why this team is in a position right now where the window is wide open for them to take advantage of competing. You got players that are early on in these contracts, and they are productive. And when you look at Jahmyr Gibbs, good God, that's productive. David Montgomery had a great season, and he's look, they're paying him decent money. They're paying both those guys really good money. But, I know a lot of people look each year to year and see one great running back. Oh, go after this guy. Go after Jacobs. Go after, Derrick Henry. And those guys might get north of $10 million on a contract. And like, oh, here we go. Okay. Or look at San Francisco. What are they paying McCaffrey? Like close to $20 million? Are you going to tell me that McCaffrey is a better value at $20 million than having Gibbs and Montgomery at half that? So this is why they're at where they're at. But there are players that you have to look at and say, okay, what do I want to hear? Do I want to hear that they're working on an extension for St. Brown? Do I want to hear nothing positive about negotiations taking place with Jared Goff? Or where are you? What do you want to hear from Brad Holmes?
So I don't imagine he's going to say a lot of, go into detail a lot on all that stuff. So the tenor, what I'm hoping to hear and hoping to gain from the press conference on Monday is that he's looking to be aggressive. And I understand people bring up the word sustainability all the time. I want the Lions to continually go to NFC Championship games as well every year, compete in the playoffs, host playoff games. But I want the Super Bowl more. And so I want him to know that there is a fine line you could walk here with sustainability, but also being aggressive, because the window can close before you know it because of an injury. It's not even just contract. If we just spoke about how Teddy Bridgewater, I think, only took 3 snaps this year.
Right.
That doesn't happen for like half the league. Half the league was starting guys off the street just to get by on a week in, week out basis. So if you're able to escape that, the injury to your quarterback, you want to go to the Super. I mean, it's almost like it's Super Bowl or bust. So I want him, just the tenor to be, they're going to be aggressive. They know that they're in a great spot right now. They have a ton of cap space. Yes, they have to re-sign a lot of their own players, but I think they're honestly like 1 or 2 big moves away from taking this team to not just competing for the Super Bowl, but being one of the real favorites of the Super Bowl. So that's what I want to hear, Gator.
248-539-9797 is the telephone number, and same number to Texas if you like to communicate with us that way. There are a couple other ways you can watch the show and participate as well. We do live stream with video through twitch.tv and through YouTube. You can search for 971 The Ticket. Follow us that way. You can download the Odyssey app, AUDACY, the Odyssey app, and you can take us anywhere you want to be. If you're out in Washington State, go out in Walla Walla, and you want to listen to the show, you can. They got a rewind feature. You can go back 24 hours and you can go back and listen to what happened 24 hours ago. Like if you wanted to hear Caller Ed from yesterday's show, you can go back and do that. Or you can follow us on Twitter at Doug and Gator 971 and follow the station 971 The Ticket on Twitter as well. There's a Facebook page too. I think all 3 of those outlets will have Caller Ed's interaction yesterday. It is kind of funny. And if I'm not mistaken, King, didn't one of his responses to what he had to say was, "Hey."
Yeah, and in the end, it's just
Hey. That's what he had to say.
That's Ed.
It's dynamite stuff. 248-539-9797. This is 97.1 The Ticket. So what do you want to hear GM Brad Holmes say on Monday? 248-539-9797. Here's what I want to hear. I want to hear him say, we got a taste of how sweet things can be. We have high expectations, and we're going to set the bar higher. We expect to be right back where we were, playing for the NFC Championship. And we're going to do everything in our power to improve this team to get to that level. Now, Ken, you and I were talking before the show about, does this mean that they're going to do the F the picks type thing, which is what they did in Los Angeles. At some point, they built the roster pretty good. They added to it by getting other players like a Jalen Ramsey or whomever and said, forget the picks. We don't care about the picks. We'll give up first-round picks and future first-round picks to get that talent, the known commodities here, to make this team better. When you're drafting at the end of the first round, like the Lions are right now at 29 this year, and if you're going to win the Super Bowl, you'll be drafting at 32. And if you think this team is going to be competing for Super Bowl championships year after year, then you're going to be looking at, drafting anywhere from 27 to 32 for years to come. If you feel confident in that, and I think there's a window here for the next several years to do that, with potential to really break this thing open even further if you've hit on the right players. I'm kind of subscribing to that theory right now because I think that the holes that are on this team are so obvious that they need to be capped by competent players that have the proven track record. That I don't want to take the chance and hoping that guy is going to slip to them at 29 or that you move up to take an edge rusher at 15 because you think that's going to be the guy and he's there. I mean, there might be a guy that I really like in the draft this year that could be available there, and maybe I would change my opinion as we get closer to it. But right now, for me, I'm ready to make those big moves. I'm ready to make the signing for the free agent. Go and get if you can, hopefully they can afford it, but Brian Burns at defensive end or Danielle Hunter at defensive end. Look at one of these really good defensive tackles that's available in free agency. I want the known commodity. A cornerback that is going to be rock solid. That's what I want because that's the difference maker. It's not hoping that you're going to, strike gold again in the draft. Every draft is different. Every draft has a different amount of top-notch players. And though I trust Brad Holmes completely in his drafting ability because he's done it, again, not every draft is built equal. And I'm not sure how solid this draft is on the defensive side of the ball. When you look at different mock drafts or you look at different people's, top 50 players available in the draft, on the defensive side, it doesn't look all that enticing. There's not that Will Anderson player, that Aiden Hutchinson type player, that Sauce Gardner. Those guys aren't really there. So what are we looking at? It's an offensive lineman heavy draft. I think it's a wide receiver heavy draft. It's a lot of great quarterbacks in this year's draft. So I'm willing to bypass this year's first round pick if it means that I have to trade it to somebody else and try to sweeten the deal to get one of their players.
Yeah, situation is everything. Like the Lions are in a different situation they were when Brad Holmes took over this team, right? Clearly. The draft it changes, like you said, every year. But what you know about free agency is those are more known commodities, and free agency changes every different year, but you tend to know what player you're getting more in free agency than the draft. Even if you think Will Anderson, Hutchinson are going to be great, it is more of a wild card because they're young prospects, they're college players. They've only, they haven't played at the next level yet. So you're kind of projecting. And also, the Lions are drafting later in every round now, not like they were before in mid to high picks in every round, unless, Brad Holmes does something, which he might do. But as of right now, we know it's 29, it's 30 or so in every round and later. I'm all in on a cornerback. I think your focus is defensive line first. Mine is secondary, actually. And I think, they have a need in both areas. But I'm looking at Jalen Johnson. I'm looking at L'Jarius Sneed. Sneed's still playing right now. He's playing for the Chiefs, but he's going to be possibly available at the end of the year. Jalen Johnson, great corner, great young cornerback for the Bears. If they don't franchise him and if he becomes available, you get him and you take him away from the Bears. I think if they get that lockdown corner to go opposite Sutton, so Sutton doesn't have to follow the number one receiver everywhere, you can do those blitz packages more and keep that cornerback on an island more. And with safety help, I really like Kirby Joseph. I like the Nickelback and Branch. I like, what Iffy's become this year. To me, that's the number one target. And that doesn't necessarily mean F all them picks. It's just one or two aggressive free agent moves, and you might be the favorite heading into the season.
Yeah, that's the thing.
We know the offense is really good. I'm not sure what they're going to do with the inside of the line right now, but with Ben Johnson and Goff and St. Brown and J-Mo and Gibbs and Laporta, we know they're going to be pretty good. And then Sewell and Decker on the ends. But the defense is kind of been up and down, right? I think we locked down that second corner, big splash, signing, like I said, one of those two guys. I'm really happy.
Yeah, I'm for that as well. I'd like to add a corner for sure. Somebody who is, a substantial upgrade over what they've had. No offense to Kindle Vildor, but I want somebody who's going to step in there and be the guy that is better than Sutton even. And if that means you bring back Emmanuel Mosley, I don't know if they bring him back. I mean, with another injury, is that going to be too debilitating for him to expect him to return to form? But there are guys out there. There are corners available in the free agency that should be able to help you out. And I do think they need to look at that. And the way Brad Holmes has done it is they've signed guys to 1-year contracts. They don't offer many multi-year contracts to the free agents, at least not in the 3 years he's been here. It's kind of like you got to earn that multi-year contract. Do what you're going to do. And they did that with they gave Sutton a multi-year contract. I don't think it was Anzalone on a multi-year contract. Was he a 2-year deal? And then they signed him to an extension after the 2 years, I think is how that worked. But they want you to earn it. But those are spots where they have to have it because there's no question it's the defense that needs to improve. The offense, love to see more points. Everybody would. But we know it's a high-powered offense, and you're going to have to figure out the guard situation. But I feel confident they're going to be okay with the offense. The defensive side of the ball did show improvement last year. I think it was fewer yards per game last year than it was in 2022.
The rush defense stepped up tremendously.
The rush defense was great. They were top 5 rush defense. But points per game, I think they went from 25 points a game down to 23 points a game. Still too much because that's still middle of the pack. So how do you take that step and go from 23 to 20 a game? Now you're talking about a top 10 defense. And if they can get to that level, then I feel confident that this team is definitely going to be competing. And you can do it. You can do it. Last year, maybe it would have happened simply if they stayed healthy, but they didn't. And you can't count on staying healthy, so you have to load your roster up and be have as much depth as possible. Defensive end, defensive tackle, and cornerback, I think, are the areas without question that they have to improve. And I mean, when it comes to Monday, I want to hear him maybe even be specific about we need to add to our secondary.
I don't know. He might say that, but he's not going to tip his hand, especially with the draft coming up. You know how Brad Holmes is. When he made the pick of Gibbs and Campbell last year, that floored everyone here locally. And we follow the team on a day in, day out basis, right? So yeah, he might say something like, we need to get the secondary better, generally saying, but I don't know if he's going to say we're going to go out and target a number one corner. Everything Brad Holmes has done free agent wise, like you said, has been pretty responsible with reasonable contracts. I think there might be a contract or two. I wouldn't mind it. It made you a little uncomfortable because they had to pay a lot to get that guy. And that's what sometimes you got to do, right, Gator? In free agency, I think Jonah Jackson's going to make an uncomfortable amount of money for somebody, whether it's with the Lions or somebody else. I think Jonah Jackson's looking at $15 million per plus.
Yeah, I'm not giving him that.
Well, but so when you lose that, maybe you go sign somebody else with that money, and that may make you feel uncomfortable. But this is the NFL, and like you said, the cap goes up.
And that's why it's important to have guys that you can develop and see what they can do. When you've got a guy like Colby Sorsdahl, who's $1 million each year, you need players like that. When you went out and got Graham Glasgow, didn't cost you much to bring him back. That's big, and these are players you're looking at. And Coyote Awasika, that's another one. Awasika, that's a guy who has helped this team out. But can you upgrade that guard position without breaking the bank? Of course you can. 248-539-9797 is the telephone number. What do you want to hear Brad Holmes say on Monday? And where do you want to see this team make the improvement? Are you on that along those same lines with the draft picks? Just, hey, I understand he's great at drafting, but I don't care about the high-end pick. If you can find a player and use that pick as a trade piece, go do it And we'll let you know some of those other names that are free agents for the Lions that they have to make decisions on, because I think you have to put it in context of this is how many guys they're looking at that they're going to have to either hang on to. Do you re-sign them or do you replace them? 248-539-9797. This is 97.1, the ticket.
Teddy Bridgewater has officially moved on from his time as backup quarterback of the Lions. He is retired and taking over as head coach of his old high school, Miami Northwestern, saying that he wants to give back to his community. It's going to be a while before we have another Wings game, but in the meantime, Alex DeBrincat is repping Detroit in the All-Star Party in Toronto this weekend. He arrived for his second appearance in the games. Now, Archie is his young son who joined him on the red carpet. Alex was drafted by Team Austin Matthews, and on the team with him is 3 other Maple Leafs. Also, Justin Bieber is a celebrity coach for them for some reason. Also, alcohol sales at Michigan Athletic Events begins today during the team's wrestling meet versus Iowa. Tomorrow will be the first time booze is served during a Michigan basketball game at Chrysler Center. U of M hockey on the road rivalry matchup between them and the Buckeyes in Columbus. They'll play one tonight and one tomorrow, both in Ohio. And John Rahm, the number 3 golfer in the world, is supposed to make his LIV Tour debut this afternoon in Mexico. However, word is that a large portion of the field, more than half, have come down with food poisoning, and their 115 shotgun could be postponed. From the Corewell Health Sports Desk, I'm Chris Villar. For more, go to 97.1 The Ticket and Odyssey.com.
I'm sorry, did you say food poisoning?
Yeah, more than 20 caddies and players have been sick all yesterday and last night, and they're not sure if they can actually play.
Is this a fluid situation?
Yeah, I'm sure there's lots of fluids everywhere.
Oh, boy. That's troublesome.
Yeah, probably not the way they wanted to do that, but I was looking at their field gator.
Yeah.
They poached so many names and good players. I'm like, that looks like a PGA Tour event from like 5 years ago.
Yes. Yeah, that's what they've done. And, with working with the PGA now kind of allowing that, and Rory McIlroy kind of backing down on his. Well, they've also just signed a $3 billion deal, I guess, the other day with the PGA, so that the top players are going to get a huge chunk of money.
Liv is supposed to be a part of that.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
They have to wait, and then, we'll give you the $3 billion. Just,
Ever had food poisoning?
I owe you. Yeah, it sucks. It sucks real bad.
It's no good. Ken, you ever had food poisoning?
Ooh. Oh, absolutely. And so, Chris, this is a definite food poisoning issue. It's not like a virus.
They literally, all of the reporters that were coming out are specifically saying food poisoning for over 20 players and caddies.
See, rich people can get food poisoning too, Gator. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, apparently.
Yeah, doesn't matter. I mean,
bad guac is bad guac.
Yeah, exactly.
Peasants to kings.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's no fun. I went to
food poisoning's terrible, man. Because it doesn't feel like it's ever going to end. When you're in the middle of it, you're like, this is it.
I've never had it for me. It was always like a day thing, or maybe 2-day thing. It wasn't terrible, right? But I went to Mexico when I was a senior in high school for spring break, and there were 5 of us. 5. Yeah, there were 5 of us together that shared a condo in Cancun. And we got there before everybody else did, all our classmates did, and we left after we were there for a long time. We were there for like 12 days, a long ass time. And it was great. But during that time, each one of us had a bout with Montezuma's revenge.
Did you all share a room?
We shared it. We had a condo, and we shared a condo together. Yeah.
How many bathrooms?
I think there was just one.
Dude, that's what I was trying to get. Come on, man.
As I recall, there was just one. It was a really nice condo setup. You had this big living room. There was a kitchen in there, and then you had a bedroom that had like 2 queen beds or something. It was great, and a nice big bathroom. But it was only one bathroom. And when you got 5 guys, 5 18-year-olds,
dealing with that?
Yeah, dealing with that. It was, it got to be comical at times, or guys like knocking on the door, dude, hurry up, Yeah. And we all got it at some point. Some of us had it longer than others. Yeah. And that's no kind of fun, when all your friends are getting ready to, we're going to go out and party. And you're like, yeah, okay, I'll meet up with you.
I'm just going to make sure the doors are locked.
Just got to check on something. Oh, I forgot my wallet. I'll meet you guys in the lobby. I'll be there in a minute. No, go ahead, take the elevator. I'll be there in a minute. Don't worry about it. Why are you sweating?
I was watching Cops.
I was watching Cops. I was watching Policia. It happens, man. It happens. Not a story you want to happen.
No.
248-539-9797 is the telephone number. Same number to text us as well if you'd like to text. All right, so here are some Detroit Lions free agents from 2024. This is the list that the Detroit Free Press compiled. And there's some big names on this list. And Ken, give me a gut reaction on what you'd want to do.
What I want to do, or what I think is going to happen?
What you want to do. How about, what you want to do and what you think will happen.
Bam.
You can say keep, release, or whatever.
Okay.
Safety, C.J. Gardner-Johnson. He's only 26.
I think he is done here. His time is done here, and I think that's a good idea. I think they should both move on. Want and do.
Okay.
And actual do. Yep.
So that's what you would say let him go, and you think the Lions let him go too.
Yep. You?
I have a feeling they're going to offer him a 1-year deal to stick around.
Okay.
But I could see it both ways. So I don't want to waffle on it. No, you know what? I'm gonna agree with you because here's what I think. I think after having him for a season, and they talk a big game about the kind of player that they want, I think he might talk too much for their liking.
No, actually, listen. The thing is, I don't mind the swag that he brings onto the field and the energy, because that is energy as well.
That is energy.
Okay? I think he's gonna have a problem not starting. Like when they first brought him back, when he came back from that torn pec, which, by the way, people should applaud him for. You know?
That was really pretty tough.
They mentioned 3 safeties back there, and he's like, I never played in a backfield with 3 safeties before. What is this? I think he's a guy who wants to, and I understand, wants to start and be on the field a lot. But with the development of Melon Fonwu, him and Kirby Joseph, that's my starting safety. And so I just don't have room for Gardner Johnson. I don't think he wants to be the 3rd safety on a team.
Yeah, and if the Lions were to sign him, I would imagine it's another 1-year deal if they were going to throw it at him, and he's likely to get a better offer from somebody else with more guaranteed money that somebody might step up and say, okay, here's a 2 or 3 year deal. Defensive end Romeo Aquara. He is 29.
I think they will move on, and I'm okay with that.
I agree. Defensive end Charles Harris. He is also 29.
I think they will move on, and I'm okay with that.
I am too, although I saw a really nice piece about him the other day, helping some kids out from Detroit. That was really cool.
You know what he is? He's Michael Brockers. Like, he was a captain. They love him in the locker room, but he just didn't produce on the field. He produced for 1 year. Was it last year or the year before?
Yeah, last year he had a little bit of a year.
Yeah, and then I think it's just time to move on because you can't. He's healthy scratches at the end of the year.
Yeah, Brockers hardly played.
No, he didn't even do anything. But he was a captain.
He was a great guy in the room, and they brought him here for a reason. And I think Brockers maybe it'd be an interesting question to ask Dan Campbell and ask Brad Holmes of the impact that Brockers had on the team despite not really playing. Did that kind of help set the tone of what you wanted from this team, this such a young team?
I get it, but they don't need it anymore. They needed it before.
Now these guys are all battle tested. They can break other guys in. Cornerback Emmanuel Mosley. He is 28, and obviously he got hurt last year. Was hurt when they signed him and hurt when he left.
Oof. All right. I wouldn't mind bringing him back on another 1 year deal. That's very risky, of course, because this is back-to-back years. I think they move on, but I wouldn't mind bringing him back personally for a 1 year deal.
I also would bring him back. I'm going to try to see if I have his. Forget what he made last year.
It had to have been like $2 million or less, right, or something in that range.
He made $3 million on that last year.
Yeah,
about $3 million base salary. No, more than that. $1 million signing bonus. And then he had a roster bonuses there as well. So he made like $4.5 million.
You know, if this takes another year, I take it back. I think maybe it is time to move on. That's 2 years in a row of not playing.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Kind of. But plus, I'd rather spend the money on somebody that has a more proven track record. Graham Glasgow, guard. He's 32 years old, but also obviously a very competent guard, can play center. That's huge.
I think they bring him back, and I want him back.
I think they bring him back. I want him back. And you're not going to have to pay him north of $10 million. You might have to pay him $5 million.
Yeah, and let me tell you right now, like, people that are scared that he may cost a lot, remember a guy, and I think you love this guy too, Evan Brown.
Yeah.
All right, you thought, like, a lot of people thought that this guy, he's gonna command too much money. I don't think he went to the Seahawks, I believe, for not a lot of money. And so I think you can get Glasgow at a good, fair price and bring him back. And like you said, he's versatile and he played well.
And he wants to be here. And he said that the Lions want him there. So they can get something worked out. Jonah Jackson, the other guard, 27 years old.
Okay, so I'm going to factor into what he's going to cost. With that being said, I don't want him back because I think it's $15+ million, maybe even close to $20 million a year. And I don't think they bring him back for that reason. I think he's just too expensive. Very, very good player, obviously. This is about contract.
If it's to the point where, let's say, he gets a 3-year, $45 million deal from some team,
yeah,
I think I might be surprised if that's the price. I think that might be high.
Laken Tomlinson makes $13.3 million a year, and I don't think he's ever made a Pro Bowl.
Former Lion.
Yeah, Jonah Jackson's a Pro Bowl guard. I just don't see how he goes south of 15. If I'm his agent, I'm going. It's going to cost you 18.
Well, but here's the other thing: is this where the lure of playing for the Lions comes in, and you say, you know what, I'll take less to play for a team that's going to compete for a Super Bowl. Because a team that's going to pay him is likely to be a team that's not.
Or not. I mean, what if the Jets go out there? They have Super Bowl aspirations. I'm
The
just, but you
Jets.
know what I'm saying? Like a team like that goes on.
I just felt like making fun of the Jets. Hal Vaitai, gone.
Yeah, I mean that's
easy enough
not,
to say.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You got some guy, Dan Skipper, reporting eligible. I mean, for like $1 million a year.
Bring it back.
I don't mind bringing it back. Kicker, Badgley.
Bring in some competition.
You have to. Josh Reynolds, wide receiver, 29 years old, coming off a really good year, and all people are going to remember are 2 drop passes in the NFC Championship game.
I mean, that guy, other than that last game, was so solid for this team. Like, how many percentages of his catches were for first downs, right? Or a touchdown?
Oh, yeah.
He had that crazy stat. I think he's this year's Jamal Williams. And what I mean by that, I think he wants to come back. I think the team tells him they want him back. But this is where we go, how much are you worth? And maybe, I don't know if he doesn't like the offer the Lions give, or the Lions, because he's a guy who I think might have peaked. And it's not, I don't want to be disrespectful because he's a very important player to this team, but you have a guy like Jameson Williams that you probably want to give more targets to.
Mm-hmm.
You can probably draft or find someone that has a higher ceiling than Josh Reynolds. You have Khalif Raymond still on the team. I think he's this year's victim of, we've squeezed, the most we can out of you. We're going to move on. I think this is a type of player that Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes, not Brad Holmes, but Campbell mentioned that you're not going to bring everybody back. I think he's one of the casualties.
He's an interesting one to look at because I don't think he didn't make a ton of money. This is a guy who made, I think, 1.8 last year in base salary. He had a $750,000 signing bonus, a roster bonus, and all this. So all told, like somewhere around $3 million. But he's also coming off his second best year. You mentioned the first down rate, okay, which is really extraordinary. He caught 40 passes last year. 32 of them were for first downs.
That's what I meant.
That's 80% of all his catches went for first downs. He only had a couple of drops in the regular season. Unfortunately, the 2 drops in the playoff. But also had a career high in touchdowns, tied a career high with the 5. Had 600 yards receiving. I mean, he was a big part of it. There's a big part of me that says bring him back because he's not that expensive. And I do want to give J-Mo more time. Absolutely. I think J-Mo deserves more time. I'll bring him back, but it's a 1-year deal. And I don't think you even consider anything more than that. And I don't know if at 29 years old as a wide receiver in the National Football League, it's hard to think you're going to get a big-time contract unless
you're one of the big guys.
You're one of the big guys, and he's not.
No.
So I don't think there is harm with bringing him back, but you have to be careful about what that number is. But it's a 1-year deal again. So either it works or it doesn't next year, and you can move on from it because it's a 1-year deal, which is what Brad Holmes does. 248-539-9797 is the telephone number. What do you want to hear Brad Holmes say on Monday? We got some tough decisions to make on free agents. You agree or disagree with what we had to say so far? Let us know. This is 97.1, The Ticket. Well, my favorite place to go when I want to watch the game is 24 Seconds Bar and Grill in Berkeley. Why? Simple. It's a great place to watch the game with all the flat screen, high definition TVs they have. They pipe in the sound for all the big games. The food is great. The staff is amazing. You like wings? They got the best wings in town. Plus, Sunday, February 11th, you got that big game. They have free squares, which means they give up prizes for the free squares. And they have drink and food specials. For all college basketball games, you get $4 drafts of Miller Lite and Coors Light. For Detroit hockey and basketball games, you get $4 bottles of Blue and Blue Light. And the specials are all day, every day. Plus, 24 is open for lunch on Thursdays and Fridays. And Thursday night, they got trivia. It is back. Trivia is a lot of fun there at 24. Check them out at 24 Seconds Bar on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram for all the great contests. And if you need any party or event catered, let 24 Seconds do all the work, I should say. And again, there's not a bad seat in the house. This is where you're going to want to go. It's my favorite place to be. The food is great. The service is even better. Check out all the specials and happenings they have at 24secondsbar.com and grab a taste of the action for yourself. 24 Seconds Bar and Grill on 12 Mile in Berkeley.